Now, the topic of this video, guys, is healthy relationships. Healthy relationships. So important, guys, that you understand how to create like some type of healthy relationships. How do you navigate a healthy relationship? How do you make a relationship more healthy? Healthy as in like more prosperous, more beneficial for you and the person that you're involved with. A lot when we're in school, this is so fucking insane to me that we weren't taught about how to like create like meaningful relationships with people, how to like improve our relationships with people. It's so insane to me, guys. When we were in school, we weren't taught about any of this. Like, how would you actually go about improving your relationship with someone? It's so important, guys, that you actually think about this very carefully. How do you go about like improving your relationships with people? And it's very dubious as well. It's very tricky as well, because we're all sort of built differently and stuff like that. We all have different personalities, different characteristics and stuff, different ambitions, desires, mentalities, mindsets. So it's very difficult to kind of like to make this video, because healthy relationships, I can't really tell you too much about how to improve your relationships with anyone, because there's so much like variability and stuff and diversity, etc. But I'll just give you like some good rules of thumb, guys, some certain things, that a type of rule book that you can sort of follow, and you'll be sort of alright if you follow this type of rule book. Some like basic forms of courtesy, healthy relationships. Obviously, when we're going to talk about relationships, guys, it's not just like romantic relationships, relationships with your friends, with your family, any type of relationship. Because when I say relationship, you're going to be thinking about like Prince Charming and Romeo and Juliet, all that type of stuff. That's all right. But it's not just that. There's other types of relationships that you have to like navigate with in your day-to-day life, with your parents, your family, your friends, etc. I'm just gonna make this video, guys, to really help you out, guys, how to make like very healthy relationships with people. To be able to start with, you gotta understand like what boundaries are. It's so important. Before we like any type of like conversation about relationships, making relationships like more healthy and beneficial, you gotta start with like boundaries, guys. Because if there are certain limits that all of us have. We have like certain limitations that we have, and once those limitations are exceeded, we tend to get like very upset and angry. I'll give you an example. I might like, this is not like, imagine if me and you were in a room, and for whatever reason I came up to you and I smacked you across the face. That is like a boundary that I broke. That's like that limit. I think the majority of people would not tolerate that. If me and you were in a room, I came into that room, I smacked you across the face, that's a type of boundary that would have been broken. That's something that exceeds normality. That would probably piss a lot of people off. So boundaries are super fucking important, guys. Understanding what are like healthy boundaries, what constitutes like a very healthy boundary, etc. is super important, guys. You gotta understand this, guys, that boundaries are when we're talking about relationships, boundaries are super important. That's like where the conversation should start at. Boundaries. How do you set healthy boundaries? Me and you are in a room, I smack you hard across the face. That's gonna tick a lot of people off. A lot of people, I would say that the majority of people would get pissed off after that happens. If me and you were in a room, and I smacked you across the face, most likely you would get very pissed off at me. Most certainly you would. Maybe perhaps you might be like a monk. Even monks would get pretty pissed off. Anybody would get pissed off if I slapped you across the face. So that's like a type of, you gotta understand boundaries, guys. It's so important. Boundaries. That's like the forerunner. That's like the prerequisite to a healthy relationship. It's like boundaries, guys. What is a boundary? Like certain it's kind of like boundaries, like a type of thing. It's like basically like it's like a type of limitation. Basically, certain things that you can and cannot do. Healthy boundaries, super important. Here's what you can do and here's what you cannot do. That's what a boundary sort of is like. It's like a regulation, a law. It's sort of like it's a rule book or something. Like, here's what you can do, what you can't do. Here's my boundaries. This is the space that you can enter, and this is the space that you can't enter. Sort of something like that. That's so important, guys. Typically, when people get into a relationship, they don't set boundaries or anything like that, and it all goes to shit. Why? Because it's impossible for that type of relationship not to turn toxic. Because if you don't have boundaries, it's all going to go to chaos. Why do you think in society we have like laws and regulations and all of that type of stuff and rules to follow? Like, imagine if in terms of like the roadside traffic, there was no like traffic laws. The cars, they can just go speed all they want, as fast as they want. They don't have to do there's no like regulations or laws to control traffic flow or anything like that. Everything would just go to shit. Laws, regulations, all that shit. That's why do you think it's so important for a society to have laws and regulations? But it's not just society. Obviously, on a smaller scale, it relates to everything, including like relationships, guys. Laws and regulations are so fucking important, guys. Boundaries kind of falls into that as well. Boundaries, anyway, but I don't want to keep blabbering on about boundaries. Understanding like what is appropriate, what isn't appropriate, that's so important. Anyway, other than boundaries, I think definitely also respect is super important, guys. Respect. When you get into like some type of relationship with someone, guys, that person has like very unique like personality traits, quirky like behaviors and all these types of things. That person has like a lot of like, when you're in a relationship with someone, that person has like it's like how do I describe it? That person has like some type of like, it's kind of like sensitive. Like we're all a little bit sensitive on certain things. Maybe perhaps it might be your ethnicity, or your religious orientation, or your whatever. You have like certain things that you're very soft about, sensitive about, and you have to like these certain things you have to like respect and stuff like that, guys. It's very difficult to do that though. A lot of us typically, a lot of relationships, people get into a relationship, they get very rough on each other. There's no respect, guys. Degrading humor is also like very irritating. I remember like some other YouTuber, CEO of testosterone, blah blah blah. He was talking about like he was with some girl. This was like in some video he talked about. He was talking about degrading humor. If you're from the UK, that might be very typical for a girl to kind of pick at your appearance, like to take the mick out of you and stuff. Some men might tolerate that, fair enough, but that is quite irritating, especially for me as a guy. It's like sometimes like women they try and chip the confidence away from a man, and that's quite horrendous to me. Respect is super fucking important, guys. Respect, that is like one of the that's like one of the foundations to a healthy relationship is fucking respect. You gotta understand what your partner is sensitive about. Not just in terms of like romance, any like family relationships. Not just about romance. There's so many different types of relationships with people, friends, family, etc. Why is that person that you're trying to engage with sensitive about? Understand what that person's sensitive about and try and cater to that person's sensitivities. Try and like stay away from anything that might be too hurtful for that person. Imagine you get into a relationship with like some woman and stuff, you just call her a stupid bitch and you smack her across the face. That relationship's gonna turn so fucking toxic, guys. So you can see respect is so fucking important, guys. But imagine you get into a relationship with someone, a woman, you just smack her across the face, call her a dumb bitch. That's gonna get very toxic, guys. So respect. Any regard, not even just in terms of like romance, any type of relationship, like with people, friends, family, society at large, respect is so important. Boundaries, respect. What else? I would say that communication is so important. Communication, understanding, that is very, very much important, very much needed. You have to understand why people are the way they are, why they have certain like, why people behave in the way they do. That's so important. That type of understanding. Is my camera getting fucked up again? Fucking hell. Understanding and communication, if you're not going to be able to like effectively communicate with your partner or whoever it is, or your business partner or whatever type of partner or relationship you have with someone else, that relationship's going to be very toxic. You got to be able to open your mouth, articulate yourself, explain yourself, clarify certain things. Like, for example, you might have done something very bad, but you don't know that maybe it was because you were under the influence of alcohol or something else, and so you were like becoming very violent because of that influence from the alcohol. You got to explain that to your partner, whoever it is, the person that you're with. You got to explain, sir, and you have to be able to clarify things, explain things away. That's why most relationships also typically fail, because there's no effective communication and understanding. That's why, so like you might do something and it pisses the other person off, but that other person doesn't know why you did that certain thing. For example, you might be under the influence of alcohol, and so you pissed your pants, and now the person that you're with is like very upset at you. Well, why did you piss your pants? It's because I was drinking alcohol and I was drunk as fucking, I pissed my pants because of the alcohol. Communication, understanding is super fucking important. You have to learn how to talk in an enjoyable way. Talk also relates to communication. Be able to project your voice. A lot of us, we have like very shy, timid voices. You have to learn to speak better, more effectively, more like enjoyably. Project your voice, not in an annoying way, but in a way that's more understandable. Become more understandable as a human being. Improve your communication skills, basically, and that's going to benefit you tremendously, guys, in life. Communication is so fucking important, guys. Communication, understanding. So I talk about boundaries, respect, and now I'm talking about communication, understanding. Guys, you might have did something bad, and the person that you're with is like very upset with you, but he or she might not know why that you did that sort of thing. It might, I pissed my pants, it's because I was drinking alcohol. The person that you're with might not understand that. That person that might be very upset with you. You have to be able to explain things, clarify things. Communication, understanding. That's why it all comes to, guys. That's where it kind of relates to. Okay, boundaries, respect, communication, understanding. What else? I would say that I guess what's also very important is boundaries, respect, communication, understanding, and sort of a little bit of independence as well. You don't just like when people come together in a relationship, they almost like they become too obsessed with the other person. They don't live their own life. Make sure when you're in a relationship, you still live your own life. The other person's just there to complement you. That other person should not be the focus of your life, guys. That's also very important when you get into a relationship, guys. You need to live your own life. You don't like fuss too much about the other person that you're with. Anyway, so boundaries, respect. What else was it? Boundaries, respect. Am I becoming brain dead? Boundaries, respect. Communication, understanding, fucking communication, understanding, and independence, and maybe perhaps you need a lot. Make sure you're very responsible as well. I think that's about it, guys.